Hey neighbor, welcome back to ARTV. My name is John and it's time for another episode of Rapid Reviews, the series where I put 60 seconds on the clock and then tear through my thoughts on new singles, EPs, and album releases. Now, put a pin in that last one for now, because Rapid Reviews is actually evolving going into 2020, and part of that involves it moving over to my second channel, Beyond ARTV. Take the time to subscribe to that channel. If you haven't done so already, you are missing out. I put out music-related content there every single week. But the reason I'm moving this show is twofold. One, because I've mainly covered more singles and EPs, and that lines up more with like what I do with track reviews over on Beyond ARTV. And also, the way I cover albums in 2020 and the new decade is going to change just a bit. There's still going to be traditional album reviews for bigger albums, but I'm working on an album review roundup series called the Album Awards that's going to roll out next year. Thank you in advance for your understanding and for your support of Rapid Reviews. I actually really do enjoy making this because it allows me to talk about a lot of different things quickly in one video for you guys. And if you do enjoy the video, please help me get this one to 500 likes. It helps YouTube send it out and actually notify my subs, because talking about multiple people in one video, sometimes it doesn't seem to go over too well with the algorithm for whatever reason. Buckle up, we've got 13 new releases to talk about today, so let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into it. We've got brand new music from the Linkin Park legend himself, Mike Shinoda, to get us going today. And even though this track frankly does take a little bit to actually get going, I think it's really solid for a soundtrack appearance. This is one of those that really gets the gears in motion, especially once the fire is kind of lit within the second half. I'm really digging those abrasive synth waves that stomp in, and Shinoda's sense of desperation that lands as his attitude becomes more apparent. He reveals himself throughout the track, and it's nice. There's layers to this. I'm gonna go with a 3.5 out of 5. Synthesizers firing off like laser beams while choppy, buzzing guitars outline the scope of the rest of the song as Kevin Parker slowly ties everything together. Yeah, I'd say that Tame Impala are back, baby! Valentine's Day 2020 will mark the release of a new Tame Impala album, The Slow Rush, which I love the album's title, I love the artwork, and even more, I'm loving this song that clearly had a lot of thought behind it. Parker acknowledges his absence over the past few years, both through the song's title and lyrics. It's just a great jam that I've been keeping in rotation, and if you're into slightly psychedelic alternative synth pop with a real snap to it, then It Might Be Time comes highly recommended from me. I'm giving this a 4. Big pop punk guitars! I love my hometown but hate it at the same time. Mom and Dad just don't get it. Sing it loud, windows down. Am I spouting off enough cliches for you to understand what I'm talking about now? Simple Plan, State Champs, and We the Kings are touring together, and what do you fucking know, they had to make a song to commemorate the occasion, complete with plenty of viral-inducing references to the band's own songs. Musically, the song isn't even that bad, it's just so formulaic, straight down to a T. You see exactly what they're doing with the guitars, the drum patterns, even the way that the vocals are stylized and certain beats get hit. It's nothing that you haven't heard 1,000 times over, and pop punk purists, people who love pop punk of the 2000s, you're probably gonna stroke out over this. But for anybody else wanting something a little bit more nuanced or any kind of depth whatsoever, probably pass it over. Light 2. Sounding disco as fuck and on the move from a waste of time relationship, Dua Lipa's kind of coming out of the gates swinging pretty hard on this one, and it's not amazing, but still, it's a pretty impressive lead single from her upcoming second album. Sure, it may lack that coveted seal of originality we'd probably all love to hear more of, but it's fresh enough for the charts, and I'm honestly just happy to see a pure pop bop just blasting through the speakers to close out 2019. A 3.5 for me, friends. Definitely go check this one out. Did you even know that Patrick Stump dropped new original music for the Spell motion picture soundtrack, a movie that was supposed to come out like a year ago? I thought, oh, you didn't. It looks like we got some phony fans on our hands. It looks like I'm the last of the real ones after all. No, but seriously though, the play count is dangerously low for Deep Blue Love, even weeks after its release on YouTube and Spotify and everything. So please, after this, go show it some love because it needs to be held close and told that it's good enough, because it is. Stump takes a somber retro lounge styled approach that sounds like something you'd slow dance to at a wedding, and while that might not sound like a hard selling point, you'd be surprised at how much it grows on you over time. I'm giving this a strong 3.5 for now, but I could see that moving up to a 4. For as abysmal and draining as so much of 2018's Delta by Mumford Sons actually was, this song that's been lifted from the cutting room floor that wasn't ready in time is, I suppose, a nice fresh breath of air that actually redeems it just a bit. I mean, it's not like this is a proverbial turning over of a brand new leaf from Mumford Sons and they've totally changed their ways, but I can actually feel some sort of passion and connected spirit in the words being sung. In fact, I'd say that the music is what carries this song on its shoulders, because the writing is rather odd in certain places, but I'll look past it because I rather do enjoy the pleasant breeziness of the tune, despite the more insightful attempt lyrically. I don't think a 3.5 is out of the question for Blind Leading the Blind, but then again, this episode seems to be full of 3.5s out of 5, so who knows? You may have caught wind of a certain John from ARTV just gushing about this rising band called White Reaper. And yes, you're remembering correctly, that was me. I did not forget about them or their full-length album Beyond the Singles. I'm just a little bit late to the party here. So if you're new to the party yourself with White Reaper, then let me give you the rundown.
When did you need that rundown by?
The lead single, Might Be Right, ushered in a new garage glam era for White Reaper, and my god does it dazzle. It's one of the best songs of 2019, and Real Long Time continued their Strokes-esque homage to the music of decades that came before them. Perhaps my expectations were set a little bit too high because of the golden standard of the first 2 singles, but over time, this album is really starting to grow on me. I'm digging most of what it's offering. I'm gonna give this record a 3.5 out of 5. I think the only real disadvantage here is the fact that a lot of the songs don't feel that they entirely exist without their influence that they're tied to. Everyone's Russells were pretty damn jimmied when the possibility of a world without creepers seemed to be our bleak destiny. But alas, not to be outdone by the My Chemical Romance reunion, exactly 1 year to date after playing their final Eternity in Your Arms album cycle show, the band and the cult return. Born Cold doubles down on the vocal talents of their frontman Will, with some of the lines shooting off like a double-barrel blast to the ear that leave your head spinning wildly. It's an invigorating thumper that won't leave your head anytime soon, that much is certain, and I'm really digging the blend of keys with soaring vocals and guitars on that hook, and the more sparse verses that allow the words to hit all that much harder. Maybe it's not as punk as some purists would want it to be, and maybe it is a bit over-polished in places, but that doesn't stop this gem from shining to a 4. This is a track that I've continuously come back to. Passable, slouched, underwhelming, solid, meh. These are just a few of the words that come to mind when I think of this song, I don't know. Aaron Bruno can and has done better so many times, so it's hard to find anything all that likable on the new AWOLNATION single, The Best. An ironic title, considering it's a football toss over a mountain away from being anywhere close to that. The biggest problem with it is that it literally feels like it goes nowhere. It finishes and I'm like, okay? I mean, we just kind of sat around driving in circles in your car for like a half hour, which is fine and all, but now your tank of gas is half empty. 2.5. You'll be seeing this retro 90s meets early 2000s emo, almost kind of grungy type sounding song on my year-end best list, that is for sure, so forgive my short-winded response for now. I had no idea who the hell Goody Grace was, but the Blink-182 feature here made me click, and the mood of this song is the most up my alley, straight from my teenage years thing I've heard in ages. Wallow in it with me, neighbors, we finally got a Mark Hoppus feature that doesn't blow ass in 2019, and maybe part of that has to do with the fact that Travis Barker is also on this song. I know some people are upset that Matt Skiba is in here too, but I promise, this song, the more you listen to it, the more that you cannot and will not stop singing. And I'll throw a perfect 5 at this one any day, all day. Turnover's incredibly strong output over the past two album cycles, Peripheral Vision and Good Nature, has turned into a rather passive affair on their newest album Altogether, which often just kind of floats by without really leaving that much of an impression. To be fair, there's some moody, reflective tunes here that I really love, like Valley of the Moon, such a pretty track complemented by every band member's talent, and Still in Motion, which gets jazzy as fuck to open up this record before segueing into this more traditional Turnover, lo-fi sounding chill. Appreciate the effort, boys, and the fact that it's certainly not a predictable move that I think a lot of their fans or even the music community at large would see coming. I guess it just feels a little bit unfinished to me. I'm gonna give this a strong 3 because it's not bad, it's not great, it's just kind of lost in the echoes somewhere, with some of the tracks being great, serene gems that are strung throughout the journey, but then there's the occasional missteps or forgettable tunes too. Appearing on the Frozen 2 official soundtrack, come on, Brendon Urie, have some dignity, have some respect. I mean, Jesus, what a sellout. I'm kidding. I really am. What do you think I'm gonna do? Sit here and kick a kid's song down the well just because it's a kid's song for a kid's movie? You know what? I actually really dig into the unknown for what it is. I mean, Brendan's clearly got the pipes to pull off a vocal track like this, and he oozes with a ton of bravado against an orchestral sweeping feeling that's probably the perfect fit for this family film. Not that I'm gonna be going to see it on day one, but I also understand that I'm probably gonna have a kid someday, and this movie will be back in my life at some point, and kid will probably sing along to this track, so I might as well embrace it now. 3.5. You'll feel like you've been dropped into a familiar world that might be too close for comfort for some, but if you've been yearning for new Leroux music and if you've been rocking with her for quite some time, then this is going to satisfy that craving that you've been having, because Lord knows it's been a drought. Slightly playful and sly, but still poised enough with danceable production and well-layered vocals, I'd call International Woman of Leisure a win. Even if it's a small victory for now, I'm excited, or at least interested, to see how the album turns out, considering how great Trouble in Paradise was. And to close out this episode of Rapid Reviews, I'm handing off the final 3.5 out of 5. Chomp chomp, my hands are clean, and that is a wrap on 13 brand new singles and albums. At least that's what we covered on this episode of Rapid Reviews. Thank you so much for watching and liking this video. Don't forget to subscribe to Beyond ARTV, because again, Rapid Reviews is moving to the second channel as of next year, and this is the final episode of Rapid Reviews you'll see on the main channel. If you want to catch up on the entire playlist, then tap this card here, or tap here for another recent album review on the channel. All of my social media accounts, including my Patreon, can be found linked in the description, and I will see you soon for more right here on ARTV.